Rupalavanya balavajra samhananatvani kaya sampata. It means the perfection of body consists of beauty, charm, strength, and the power of thunderbolt. Good afternoon. On this occasion of Yoga Day, I, on behalf of Sanjay Gandhi College of Education, would like to wish you all a happy International Yoga Day. As the world is celebrating the 7th International Yoga Day, we, the students and staff of Sanjay Gandhi College of Education, have gathered together virtually to celebrate one of India's greatest cultural contributions to the world. Yes, yoga. At this juncture, I would like to take you through all a brief history and significance of the day. The International Yoga Day has been celebrated annually on June 21st since 2015 after its inception in 2014. It was proposed by Prime Minister Narendra Modi in his speech at the United Nations General Assembly on 27 September 2014. It is observed on 21st of June every year to spread awareness about the importance and the health benefits of yoga. This year, the theme is Yoga for Wellness. Before we proceed further, may I request you all to gently close your eyes and remain in silence as we invoke the blessings of the Almighty. Lord God, we thank you for bestowing your abundant graces upon us. As we gather here, fill us with your divine wisdom and help us to be truly enlightened. Strengthen us to remain true to our calling. For this we pray. Thank you. Yoga, despite being an ancient practice, is gaining popularity with every passing year, irrespective of age, gender, nationality, and culture. To help us to be more well-informed and to understand yoga in its true essence, we are fortunate to have yoga expert Mr. Amresh amidst us. Mr. Amresh has been practicing yoga since childhood. He has over 30 years of experience in the field of yoga. He previously worked as the Regional Supply Chain Manager of South India at Ruchi Soya Industry Limited. He obtained his formal yoga training from S. Vyasa Yoga University, Bengaluru. He is a practicing yoga therapist in Bengaluru. He is also a senior yoga faculty at Suyoga Yoga Institute. We hope his wide experience in the field will truly help us to understand and appreciate yoga as an art of self-care and a means to holistic well-being. Now, may I request our very own professor, Mr. Srinivas Tiwari, an enthusiastic proponent of indigenous culture and traditions, to welcome Mr. Amresh for the guest lecture.
Namaste everyone. In our webinar series, today we are gathered here virtually to celebrate International Day of Yoga. For that we have invited Sri Amresh as resource person, yoga therapist and senior faculty, Suyoga Yoga Institute, Bangalore. And he is with us today to deliver a talk on the topic Yoga, an art of self-care and holistic well-being. He has over 30 years of experience in the field of yoga. For him, yoga is not a profession alone. For him, yoga is his passion since childhood, and he is with us today. I, on behalf of the management, the principal, the faculty members and students, I welcome him to this program to be here with us to enlighten our would-be teachers on the importance of yoga. Once again, I welcome you, sir. Now, our principal, Dr. R. Lata Kumari, she needs no introduction. She is the guiding force always in organizing such programs. Today, under her patronage, we could able to arrange this program for the benefit of our would-be teachers. For her, education means all-round development of an individual. Mostly, this might have prompted her to organize this program. Yoga is part of it. Our NEP, our National Curriculum Framework also stress upon yoga to be the part of the school curriculum. Yoga ಪಠ್ಯದ ಭಾಗವಾಗಬೇಕು ಅನ್ನೋ ಆಶಯ ಸಹ ಇದೆ. ಸೊ ದೇರ್ಫೋರ್ ಪ್ರಾಂಶುಪಾಲರು ಈ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮವನ್ನು ವ್ಯವಸ್ಥೆಗೊಳಿಸಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಸೊ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಟೈಮ್ಲಿ, ಇಟ್ ಹ್ಯಾಸ್ ಬಿನ್ ಅರೇಂಜ್ ಫಾರ್ ದಿ ಬೆನಿಫಿಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಅವರ್ ವುಡ್ ಬಿ ಟೀಚರ್ಸ್. ಸೊ ಆನ್ ಬಿಹಾಫ್ ಆಫ್ ಯು ಆಲ್, ಐ ವೆಲ್ಕಮ್ ಯು ಮೇಡಮ್. ಮತ್ತೊಮ್ಮೆ ನಿಮಗೂ ಸಹ ಈ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮಕ್ಕೆ ಸ್ವಾಗತ. ಐ ಆಲ್ಸೋ ವೆಲ್ಕಮ್ ಫ್ಯಾಕಲ್ಟಿ, teaching and non-teaching faculty to this program. Last but not the least, it is our students, it is you. The day's program is arranged for your benefit. I hope you will derive benefit out of this program. I conclude my welcome address by saying this year yoga slogan is Yoga for Wellness. ಈ ಬಾರಿಯ ಘೋಷವಾಕ್ಯ ಅಂತಂದರೆ ಸ್ವಾಸ್ಥ್ಯಕ್ಕಾಗಿ ಯೋಗ ಅನ್ನುವಂಥದ್ದು. ಯೋಗ ಫಾರ್ ವೆಲ್ ಬೀಯಿಂಗ್. ಯೋಗ ಈಸ್ ಫಿಸಿಕಲ್, ಮೆಂಟಲ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಸ್ಪಿರಿಚುವಲ್ ಪ್ರಾಕ್ಟೀಸ್ ಫಾರ್ ವೆಲ್ ಬೀಯಿಂಗ್. ಯೋಗ ಈಸ್ ಗಿಫ್ಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಇಂಡಿಯಾ ಟು ದಿ ವರ್ಲ್ಡ್ ಫಾರ್ ಹೆಲ್ತ್, ಪೀಸ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಹಾರ್ಮೋನಿ. ಲೆಟ್ ಅಸ್ ಅಡಾಪ್ಟ್ ಯೋಗ ಇನ್ ಅವರ್ ಡೇ ಟು ಡೇಸ್ ಪ್ರಾಕ್ಟೀಸ್ ಟು ಫೈಟ್ ಕೋವಿಡ್-19. ಯೋಗ ದೈಹಿಕ, ಮಾನಸಿಕ ಮತ್ತು ಆಧ್ಯಾತ್ಮಿಕ ಯೋಗಕ್ಷೇಮಕ್ಕಾಗಿ ಮಾಡುವ ಅಭ್ಯಾಸವಾಗಿರುತ್ತೆ. ಯೋಗವು ಶಾಂತಿ ಮತ್ತು ಸೌಹಾರ್ದತೆಗಾಗಿ ಭಾರತವು ಪ್ರಪಂಚಕ್ಕೆ ನೀಡಿದ ಕೊಡುಗೆಯಾಗಿದೆ. ಯೋಗವನ್ನು ನಮ್ಮ ದಿನನಿತ್ಯದ ಅಭ್ಯಾಸವಾಗಿ ಮಾಡೋದರಿಂದ ಕೋವಿಡ್-19ನಂತಹ ಮಹಾಮಾರಿಯೊಂದಿಗೆ ಹೋರಾಡಬಹುದು ಸಹ. ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ವಂದನೆಗಳು. ನಮಸ್ತೆ.
Thank you, sir. Now, may I request yoga expert Mr. Amresh to address the gathering.
Namaskar to everybody present in today's meeting, all the staff members, principal, organizer, and those who are participating. Namaskar. My work has been made easy by Tiwari sir by beautifully explaining the purpose and importance of today's date. So directly we will move forward and let's start today's presentation. We will have a presentation and then in the end we will have the demonstration also. So let's start the presentation. So as you explained, 7th International Yoga Day. So first of all, let's start slightly different. What is not yoga? I hope you can see the screen, everybody.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We can see it.
Yes, sir.
Very good. So yoga is a way of life and not limited to asana and pranayama. Most of the people, what happens, they assume that doing asana is doing yoga. Lot of nowadays yoga, since the commercial viability has get attached to it, lot of people are selling yoga as a fast food and the very, very instant items. It's not like that. So it's not very difficult also, but it's very easy and it's a day-to-day life. So yoga is a way of life. Yoga is the science of life. It is not only asana and pranayama. It is not just the ability to do advanced postures. During any postures with mindfulness, bringing the mindfulness is yoga. It's not aerobic, it's not gym, It's not power yoga. It's not rope yoga. It's not the lot of like this fancy items. Any work can be done in the yogic way by not limited to the fruit of activity, karma yoga, attachment of the fruit. So you can detach itself and do it with the bhava of serving the society, serving the near, dear and dear, whoever is getting benefited. So let's move on. Then what is yoga? The yoga word, it has been derived from Sanskrit word yuj. Yuj means joining. So for joining, two different things are required. So what are those two different things? It's joining of individual self, Jivatma, with the universal self, Paramatma. It's very, very well known word, but in very, very simpler version to refine yourself, and from I to we to us to the entire universe. So expanding your awareness and developing yourself in such a way that your I becomes us. So that's why in our culture it has been said, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. Not joining only individually and other things. You have to combine yourself with the entire nature, entire ecosystem. And then you have to slowly progress. Sage Patanjali says, Yoga Chitta Vritti Nirodha. Yoga is the Nirodha. Nirodha means you have to stop the vritti of the chitta. So chitta means mind. So mind, as you know, monkey mind. So we have to, by continuous practice, we have to learn to control the mind. Yoga Vasishtha says, Manah prasanno payaya yoga iti bhya. So Vasishtha Muni says that yoga is a tool to become happy. So happiness is the key word in the yoga. Yoga, as we learned, a process of joining. You can see, and we started our evolution journey. Modern science, this Darwin has given the theory of evolution, but we are amazed to see how our rishis, ancient rishis, they all just give this theory of evolution long back. So as in the process of evolution, we started at the animal level, then going forward, becoming a normal human being. Normal human being just not have these limbs, doing the normal things, but behaving like a human. That is most important thing. Thinking like a human being. That is the essence of the yoga. Practicing like a human being, remaining like a human being, then from normal human being, moving towards the great human being, and from great human beings, moving towards the perfection, and that is divinity. So there are many paths of yoga, as it depends upon the person to person. You know that some person has, according to their gunas, 3 gunas are defined. They define our how to perform. Some people are finding that some form of yoga is not suitable for them. Some people find some yoga form is not suitable for them. So unity in diversity. Any form of yoga you can practice and achieve the same goal. The final destination is the single, but you can go by different roads, different paths. So one is the Jnana Yoga, path of knowledge, achieving knowledge, studying and all the things and refining our wisdom. We move to the ultimate goal of achieving the Kaivalya. Then Bhakti Yoga, path of devotion. You must have heard about the Meera and all these beautiful devotees, those who have attained the ultimate goal of the entire universe. Then Raj Yoga, path of discipline. Here we, in the form of this asana and pranayama and all this, we practice the continuous practice, discipline, and then we refine ourselves and then move. Then Karma Yoga, path of action. It's not like that those who are only doing this asana and pranayama, they are the yogis. Some of them are real karma yogi. Our day-to-day, right now, we can see that lot of good doctors, they are without desiring for the fruit of the recognition and all the things in this tough time of pandemic, they are giving selfless service. Lot of people, doctors, caregivers, all the different form in the society. Lot of people are doing selfless job for the cremation without whoever is which religion, but they are supporting. So that is also a form of yoga. So going forward, yoga, as the Patanjali describes, there are 8 limbs of yoga. Yoga is not only the doing 1 hour practice on the mat. Yoga is the combined process of the yamas, niyamas, asana, pranayama, pratyahara, dharana, dhyana, samadhi. These are called 8 limbs of the yoga, and that's how the name comes, Ashtanga Yoga. So what are the yamas? Yamas are the social ethics, ahimsa, satya, asteya, brahmacharya, aparigraha. These comes under the yamas. Second is niyamas. Niyamas are the personal practices. So what are the niyamas? They are Saucha, Santosh, Tapas, Swadhyaya, and ultimately Ishwar Paridhana. So next in this step is the asana. So once you purify yourself through the regular practice of yamas and niyamas, then you move to the asana. Asanas are the postures, easy, comfortable position of the body, connecting the mind and spirit of experience, stillness, and infinity. After asanas, so you can see asanas out of 8, on the 3rd pedestal is the asana. So only asana is not the yoga. It is one among the 8 limbs of the yoga. Then each step prepares us for the next level. So yama and niyama prepares us for the doing asanas correctly. After regular practice of asanas, we make ourselves for doing pranayama. Pranayama is mostly mindful breathing and expansion of the prana. Going forward, we will see that how the different layers of the body exist and how we try to nourish all those layers, take care of all those layers. Then these are all four are called Bahiranga Yoga. Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama. Then comes the Pratyahara. In some texts, the Pratyahara is also included in Bahiranga. In some texts, it is included in the Antaranga. So it is the, you can say, borderline. So Pratyahara, as the name suggests, Pratyahara. Pratyahara is providing alternate inner point of attraction like breath, chakra, to the sense to go inward. So Pratyahara is the withdrawing of the sense. You know that for lot of inputs we get, so most of the impurities come through the sense organ. So to just prohibiting the impurities by restricting and gaining control over our sense organs is the not only the ahara. You don't think that it is only food. We take these inputs from all the five sense organs. So what to see, what to listen, what to eat, all these things you have to control, apply the control, not by force, by learning, continuous practice. Then it becomes Pratyahara. So Pratyahara prepares us for the dharana. Dharana, focus and attention. Then we move to the dhyana, and then ultimately we reach to the pure bliss, samadhi. So these are the 8 limbs. These 8 limbs is when it's practiced in the totality, then we can say that we are doing yoga. So you can see some form of for the practice purpose, our rishis has designed and given one tool as a Surya Namaskara to, as you know that all the life form on the earth, it depends upon the sun. You so know that sun rays falls on all the plants. They convert the sun rays into the food. Then we eat that food, and then we develop ourselves. Physically, Annamaya Kosha is nourished. So Surya Namaskara is the bowing down to the Almighty Sun God for giving us life. And there are, every cell we have the energy center. So it's the alignment of the supreme and global sun with the internal sun. And through that, we activate our energy centers to function it in the proper manner, when to function and when to stop. So Surya Namaskara is a tool given by our ancient rishis. We will, going forward, we will see the demonstration also. So asana part, there are few standing asanas. Those are Tarasana. Benefits are it improves postures, open up the chest, lengthen the spine, gently strengthen the thigh, buttocks, leg muscles. See, these are the benefits, but don't go like that simply. Yoga doesn't limit its benefit to any particular organ or any particular part of the body. Yoga, if even asanas, it works on the entire system. Yoga takes, or our ancient knowledge takes that body is not a single unit like the modern day definition of the modern medicine, that liver functions separately, kidney functions separately, intestine functions separately, brain functions separately. It all a combined system. So any asana, all the asana mostly, it affects the entire system, although the specific benefits may be some points more and some points less. So there are few asanas: standing Tarasana, Vrikshasana, Trikonasana. In sitting asanas, there are Shashank Asana, Ustrasana, Manduk Asana, Vakrasana. Then after standing, then sitting, then lying on the stomach, that is called nowadays prone position. So Makarasana, Bhujangasana, Salabhasana, Dhanurasana. Then supine position. Supine position is the lying down on the back. Lying down the stomach is called prone, and lying down on the back is called supine. So Setubandha Asana, Dvipad Asana, Sarvanga Asana. So these are the asanas, some very familiar name of the asanas. Some of the asanas we will see the demonstration also. So you have seen that asanas are on the third pedestal. So asanas prepares our body for the higher practice of the pranayama, to pratyahara, to dharana, to dhyana, to samadhi. Then comes very, very important aspect, which is the difference between the modern medical science and our ancient wisdom. Our ancient wisdom define our presence in the form of the Panch Kosha. It is called Panch Kosha Viveka. So we have 5 layers of existence. We think that we have our body, and whatever is the problem and whatever benefit we are getting, it is on the physical level only. So it is not like that. It is much, much, much beyond that. So at the first layer is the Annamaya Kosha, that is our physical body. Then, you know, is alive. One moment, the same body is there, but the next moment, he is dead. So what is the difference? Difference is, one is having the prana, and dead body, the prana has left the body. So that kosha, that portion is called the pranamaya kosha. Then manomaya kosha. Some people, even having the physical body, they are alive clinically, but they behave very, very lunatic way, very, very erratic manner. So their mind is not working properly. Some people even doesn't know that who I am. Some people are even in the coma. They have the annamaya body, physical body, pranic body, but they don't know who they are. Their mind is not working. So manomaya kosha. Then next level to the vijnanamaya kosha. You are teaching, you are learning. Some are engineers, some are professors, some are lecturers, some are doctors. So that is their intellect. So intellect, wisdom, that is very much necessary for the, and very much part of our being. So physical body and pranic body, then manomaya kosha, then vijnanamaya kosha. And then it comes to the annamaya kosha, absolute blissful state, harmony, expanded awareness state, Anant Samapatti state. So modern medical science think that any problem, any disease happens in the Annamaya Kosha only. But most of the psychosomatic, now they are one very, very common word you can listen, that psychosomatic problems. So most of the problems are becoming psychosomatic problems. So those happens due to the imbalance at the Manomaya Kosha level. And unless until that is not get corrected, then you will not find the solution. That's why lot of problem, modern medical science, they can manage, but they cannot cure because they are concentrating only on the Annamaya Kosha, not on the Manomaya Kosha. So by doing the continuous and regular practice, as our sage Patanjali has given us Ashtanga Yoga, and doing regular practice, we nourish ourselves on all the 5 levels, then we find ourselves in the absolute blissful state. So what are the benefits of yoga? Benefits of yoga, very, very primary level, muscular level. Deep relaxation. You will find that in lot of yoga postures, bending, twisting, stretching happens. So what happens? Any muscle, we stretch. And then after stretching, the beneficial part comes when we release the stretch or when we come out of the posture, and then there will be momentary relaxing phase. So what we do in our yoga classes, one asana practice, short relaxation, again practice, relaxation, practice, relaxation. Then what happens? When you are stretching and then relaxing, stretching and relaxing, stretching, relaxing, then what happens? Whatever stress has been stored during the physical level, pranic level, mental level, it gets released. After stretching, when you release, the elastic recoiling of the entire system happens. And when it happens, you move from the sympathetic nervous system to the parasympathetic nervous system. So purpose of the yoga is to increase the parasympathetic tone of the system. As you know, you must have heard, sympathetic system is the fight and flight moment. Either you will fight or you have to run away. For that, you need lot of energy. So any physical stress, mental state, or any stress or emergency situation, what happens? Body produces lot of cortisol and all these hormones, which dilates the blood vessels, increases the blood supply, so that energy production should be increased. Like that war-like situation, when the war happens at the border, entire machinery is deployed to replenish all this supply line to the war-like situation. But what happens? Nowadays, due to the modern day, our system of this speed, everything we are running, then that always we are in the sympathetic mode. So cortisol level is high, then we are getting lot of physical element that manifest in the lot of physical element. So here the purpose is to, from the sympathetic system, from fight and flight to the move to the body whenever is required. Okay, fine. But immediately after, continuously training, let the body learn to relax immediately. So stress is, momentarily stress is not a problem. Problem is nowadays that after stress, our body, mind is not trained to relax properly, come back to the normal. And relaxing is the phase of the parasympathetic system, where it's the rest and digest, all the repair of the body, all the good work, all this happy hormones, melatonin, serotonin, all these things are released during this parasympathetic phase. So muscular level, deep relaxation. Purpose of the yoga is to deeply relax. It's not that doing too much of asanas only and further putting the stress on the system. So here we create the loop, action, relaxation, action, relaxation. So we take the entire muscular level, Annamaya Kosha, in the deep relaxation state. Then at the pranic level, slowing down of the and balancing. Slowing down of breath and balancing it. You will feel that whenever you are stressed, you will feel that your breath has become very, very fast, very fast. The moment you will relax a little bit, you will feel that your breath has calmed down. It has slowed down. Other way also, we can use it as a tool. What happens? When stress happens, after that, by mindfully reducing the speed of the breath, where the pranayama, practice of the pranayama, that tool, we mindfully, we deliberately reducing the speed of the breath so that entire system move towards the parasympathetic mode. Tone of the parasympathetic system is increased in the system. It's like a knob system. If parasympathetic mode will be more, sympathetic mode will be less. If sympathetic knob you will increase, sympathetic level goes up, parasympathetic level goes down. So it's our, unless until there is very, very urgency, our system should be more in the parasympathetic mode. Mental level, increasing creative and willpower. So mental level, you will feel that whenever you are doing the asanas, you are holding the position, what you are training your mind to remain in that position. Continuous practicing, remaining, you keep on increasing the duration on holding, and then you are training your mind to remain in that position. So willpower improves, creativity improves, emotional level, enhancing happiness. It has been proved scientifically after doing regular practice of all this asana, yoga, pranayama, dhyana. It improves the happy hormones in the body and you feel happy. An intellectual level, sharpening intellect and calming down the mind, becoming absolute blissful state. So let's move. Just now we saw in the last slide that problem that when you get stressed, our breath speed increases. In normal day-to-day life also, you will see that lot of people, they are breathing very, very fastly, very shallow breathing. Lot of time we are now in this COVID time also, whenever problem happens, when we see, we talk to, we feel that their breathing is very, very shallow breath. And nowadays this laptop working, you will see that due to the sitting in this position, due to the curve created, pressure created here, you can, right now you can check. If you will sit in this position and try to breathe, you will feel that your breath has become very, very shallow. You cannot take the deep breath. So what is the correlation between speed of the breath and lifespan? You can see a rabbit. Have you seen the rabbit? How fast they breathe. So lifespan is 8 to 12 years. They breathe almost 32 to 60 breaths per minute. Dog, lifespan 10 to 14 years. They will breathe. You will also see dog breathing very, very fast. So they are, you can saying that directly proportionate. The more you breathe faster, your lifespan will be lesser. That's why in one research it has been found that most of the gold medalists in the sprint and all these things, their life is lesser compared to the silver medalist, and silver medalists are lesser than the bronze medalist. It doesn't mean that you should not strive for the excellence, but after that practice, you should learn to relax. That is very, very important thing. How to learn to relax, how to learn to relax. For that, you have to continuously train the mind, because due to the lot of information, the bombarding of all the information, WhatsApp, Facebook, all these things, wrong messages are coming, very, very corrupt messages are coming, hatred are increasing, and then we get stressed, more fast breathing. So what is happening in our yogi culture, in our ancient scriptures, it is mentioned that God has given us life in the number of the breath. Breath is the currency here. So how many breath? It depends upon you, how easily you, how speedily you exhaust it. So purpose here is to increase the length of the breathing, inhalation and exhalation, so that per minute breathing should become lesser. Then the less you will, number of times you will breathe, your mind will automatically, you will feel that you are feeling calm down. Entire endocrine system, neuroendocrine system is in the harmony. When they are in the harmony, the happy and all these wrong hormones, wrong byproducts which are getting generated in the body, it's slowly coming down, and you are becoming more and more healthy. So there are many ways of the improving the breathing practice. So you must have heard that abdominal breathing. So most important is that most of the time you will feel that we breathe from the upper part of the body or only middle part. So continuous practice, we have to learn to breathe from the abdomen also. You will see that a small child, when he is born, he will breathe from the stomach. When you are sleeping, you are breathing mostly from the stomach. Unless until there is some part of any obstruction or any snoring and all the things are happening. Most of the time, you will find that in relaxed state, sleeping state, you are breathing from the abdomen. So when you are awake, learn to breathe from the abdomen. What happens? You will see in the diagram here, when it doesn't happen that air goes to the abdomen. What happens? Here is the diaphragm. You can see here, diaphragm is there. And when we breathe, try to breathe the abdominal breathing, we are pushing the diaphragm down. So what happens? The lungs get extra space, and then more and more air is accommodated inside, more duration for the interaction of the and exchange of gas. We are giving more time, more surface area we are providing. So more exchange of oxygen happens, and vice versa, more carbon dioxide gets released from the system. So more oxygenation, less carbon dioxide load, we are moving to the healthy system. Then abdominal breathing, thoracic breathing, then comes the clavicular breathing. When we combine all three, what then becomes full yogic breathing or sectional breathing. So what happens? You will feel that very shallow breathing state. We are almost taking 200 ml to 300 ml of the oxygen or air inside. During this practice, when we are utilizing all the three lobes of the lungs. Lungs, as you all know, right part has three lobes, left part has two lobes. Left part to accommodate the place for the heart, that it has two lobes. So when we utilize all three lobes, we can breathe up to 3 to 4 liters of the air. So imagine how many folds we are increasing the intake of the oxygen inside. Right now, you must have heard that everybody is now that oxygen level is dipping. So regular practice make the entire lungs function properly, and for that, not breathing, for breathing purpose, the exchange of gas happens at the lungs level, but the entire action is done by the respiratory muscles. So what we do, regular breathing practices, we are strengthening the entire muscular system so that it can use the lungs as a pump in the better manner. I hope you got the concept. So breathing practice is the very, very important practice, mindful breathing practice. So try to learn to how to breathe correctly and practice the breathing practices daily. Then one comes the cleansing part. Then that is one method we use, Kapalbhati. Kapal means in the Sanskrit, it means skull, and Bhati means shining. So Kapalbhati is a breathing technique for purifying the frontal region of the brain. Kapalbhati cleanses the respiratory system and the nasal passage and removes the spasm in the bronchial tubes. It has been observed in the laboratory that what happens here in Kapalbhati, what we do active exhalation and passive inhalation. So exhalation, 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 exhalation. So they have studied the mechanism of the brain. What happens during the inhalation? The pressure on the entire brain cells increases, and exhalation, the pressure on the brain cells decreases. So here Kapalbhati, continuous exhalation, exhalation, we are creating the artificial hypoxia for the moment in the system, so that we are training the brain. What happens during the hypoxia? The brain gives signal to the other system to generate more RBC. So more RBC, more platelets, blood carrying capacity of the blood increases. So we will see in the demonstration also going forward. Then after Kapalbhati, benefits you already described. Nari Suddha Pranayama, Nari Sodhan Pranayama, somewhere it is called. Modern day, lot of people tell it as a Anuloma Viloma Pranayam, but that is little slightly different. But you can take it as a Nari Suddhi Pranayama also. Mind it, Kapalbhati is a Kriya and Nari Suddhi is the Pranayama part. So Naris are subtle energy channels. You know that we have almost 72,000 energy channels in the body, 72,000 Naris. So Nari Suddhi Pranayama, the main is the Ida and Pingla, Chandraswara and Suryaswara. Right is the Suryaswara and left is the Chandraswara. So when you are stressed, you will feel that right nostril breathing is happening more. When you are very, very calm, you will feel that left nostril breathing is happening more. When you are in the absolute equilibrium, you will feel that balanced breathing. Both right and left nostril is happening equally. In that state, Susumna gets activated. So going forward, we will try to see that also. Then one more technique is the Bhramari Pranayama. Bhramari Pranayama, very, very important. This both Nari Suddhi Pranayama and Bhramari Pranayama, both are very, very safe practice. It can be done any time during the day, any number of times. But first you learn how to do the Nari Shuddhi Pranayama and Brahmani Pranayama in the correct manner. Lot of time due to this learning from this YouTube and all the things, what is happening? Lot of people are doing it in the wrong manner. Lot of people are doing it very, very forcefully and very, very fast. So in place of benefit, they are getting, I have seen lot of patients come to us that, sir, we do the Nari Shuddhi Pranayama, we get the headache and all the things. And what happens? They will then blame the yoga that, no, yoga is not helping me. So first learn the yoga from this one good person who is very, very good known person, who is the good practitioner. And then very, very gentle way. You are not supposed to hear the sound of the breath in the Nari Shuddhi Pranayama. Brahmari Pranayama, take deep inhale and generating the sound of the Brahmar, that is the honeybee. And nowadays, it has been proven in the laboratory now that during the vibration of the Brahmari, nitric oxide gets produced in the entire nasal tract and the lungs. And all you know, lot of talk is going on the nitric oxide and benefits of the nitric oxide, therapeutic use of the nitric oxide, curative effect of the virus. And second important thing, our body consists of the 60% of the more than 60%. For the children, it's more, almost 80 to 90%. And when we grow, it becomes 60 to 65% of the water. So you can see that when you beat the fork, and then you will keep the fork near to the water ball, you will find that very, very wave is created in the water of the bowl. So imagine that 60% of us, each cell has 60% of this water content. So due to this harmonious vibration, that rearrangement of its chemical composition doesn't get changed, but rearrangement of the molecules happens in such a way that it creates very, very nice soothing effect in the entire nervous system, entire neuroendocrine system. Then how does stress affect our bodies? When our body fails to stimulate parasympathetic nervous system, you will feel sympathetic nervous system, and already described, we fail to feel relaxed after a stressful situation. See, a stressful situation is, you cannot avoid. You cannot avoid, you cannot control the environment. Wherever you are working, wherever you are living, you cannot change that situation. So what you can change? You can change your response. How you will change the response? By doing all these practices, train the mind, train the body to relax the moment that situation is, you have just come out or you want to relax. That is most important. Whenever you want to relax, just even in the office situation, in the college situation, in the class situation, whenever you are feeling very, very stressed, just simply sit down and let the breath slow down. Observe your breath. Let it slow down for 5 or 10 counts, 10 numbers of breathing. Let it slow down. Immediately you will feel that your mind has become very, very calm. Chale vate chale chittam nischalam nischale bhavet. That means when the breath is fast, your mind becomes fast. Vice versa. Mind is fast, breath is fast. So what we can do? We cannot control the mind. We have to apply some tools. So here are the breath we are using as a tools, and we are controlling the speed of the breath to control the speed of the mind. You can see the parasympathetic system and sympathetic system. What happens? You can find it here. So in sympathetic system, inhibit, whenever you see the food, inhibits salivation, accelerate heartbeat, dilate bronchi, inhibits digestion, stimulates glucose release. That's why nowadays, most of the time, people are in the sympathetic phase. So that's how they are getting this stimulated glucose release. So you are getting the diabetes and all these problems. In opposite to that, it stimulates bile release, liver. So it creates the alkaline system in the body. It stimulates pancreas secretion and all the things, it happens. So you just, right now we have very limited time, so we will move forward. So sympathetic means fight and flight system. Parasympathetic means relax system. Relax means it's all this rest and digest system is activated. All these happy hormones are getting released. Then very, very important part of the yoga is the diet according to yoga. Yuktahara viharasya yukta cheshtasya karmasu. So it's interdependent. It should not that, because for actual practice of yoga, you should have the sattvic diet. There are 3 types of diet: tamasic diet, then rajasic diet, and then sattvic diet. When you are in the sattvic diet, balancing taste, freshly cooked food, lot of information available. What are the sattvic foods? What are the tamasic food? What are the rajasic food? So right now we will not discuss too much, but you just remember that try to take freshly cooked, locally available, according to the situation, according to the kala, according to the ritu, according to the day or night. So that food should be changed. According to ritu, the food should change. In hot season, the food will be different. In the winter season, the food will be different. So for in yogic habit, as we discussed, yoga is a lifestyle. In that lifestyle, our diet is also a very, very important content. So template for the daily practice of the yoga. So initially, as per your religion or as per your belief, try to do the prayer. That's why in our ancient culture, morning Aarti and evening Sandhya tradition is there. So start with the prayer. Then we should do joint exercises for 3-4 minutes. Then stretching exercises for 10 minutes. Going forward, we will see what are the stretching, stamina building exercises, little bit of jumping, running, and all the things for 5 minutes. Surya Namaskara, very, very important aspect, 10 minutes. 1-2 asanas. After Surya Namaskara, you should not do too much of asanas. 1 or 2 asanas daily you can include. And then by the abhyasa, try to first master that asana. Then move to the other asana, then move to the asana. Purpose, please remember, purpose of asana is to prepare yourself to sit longer without any disturbance. It should not happen that you are sitting for the pranayama and then dharana and then dhyana, that your body is getting pain somewhere and not able to sit comfortably. Your back, you are not able to hold for the longer time. So then your sadhana will get disrupted. So regular practice will prepare yourself. So 1 or 2 asanas or 3 asanas daily, practice, master it, then move to the other asanas. And then, so it's not that you are getting any crash course here for remaining healthy. It's a matter of habit. It's lifestyle. You have to do the yoga, take it as a lifestyle, and you have to practice it daily. There is no shortcut here. Pranayama, 10 minutes approximately minimum, and then relaxation. Very, very important part. Although during the practice also, after each practice, we do the relaxation, but that is very brief. After the end of the class, you should do at least 5 minutes relaxation. Lot of relaxing tools are there. for very, very less practice, duration, you can practice IRT, instant relaxation technique. Then you can do DRT, deep relaxation technique. Then you can go for the cyclic meditation and all the things. There are a lot of tools are available there. So, but for daily practice, that relax, or simply lying down in the savasana and observing the each and every organ is relaxing. Whether initially you are able to relax or not, but taking your mind and becoming aware and think that it is relaxing, the same kind of hormone gets produced in the brain. So try to relax daily for 5 minutes. Whenever you are coming back from the office, going back from the college, after the evening, try to relax for 5 minutes daily, and in the morning 5 minutes. Then meditation and mindfulness, whatever is there, we have taken it as a minimum. You can increase it for any duration of the time. What are the do's and don'ts? Very, very important. Do's. In one simple word, if in any summary, if I have to put, you have to synchronize yourself with the nature. Right now, lot of late night, your work and all the things, even you don't have work, man is the only animal which delays its sleep. No other animal, whenever they will feel sleepy, they will let themselves sleep. So what we do, we delays our sleep. So follow early to bed, early to rise. For that, lot of now, even Nobel Prize has been given 2 years back for the discovery of the effect of the circadian clock, that is inner clock system, that how that is effect. Even it has been found that that disruption of this circadian system is creating lot of cancer nowadays. So you feel that, okay, late night, what's the big deal? No, it's very, very big deal. So learn to go to bed early and rise early. Better to practice on empty stomach, or at least 2 hours gap between meal and the yoga asana practice. Start with beginner's level and slowly progress at a pace comfortable. Baby steps, baby steps, baby steps. Don't compete with anybody. Don't pre-imagine that this asana has to be done in this manner. No. Don't take yourself to the asana. Let the asana come to you. So modify itself. Somebody cannot bend too much. And in some classes or after seeing any picture or YouTube, you are forcing yourself and getting injury. No. Big no. Up to your comfort level. Na hathat, na balat. Wherever, up to what level you are, start practicing from there. Then daily, millimeter by millimeter, bit by bit, make the practice. Wear comfortable clothes, not like the fancy clothes of very, very fancy videos. You will get very fancy clothes, no cotton clothes, and very comfortable clothing. Very, very important. Now in this nowadays, lot of problem is happening of the infertility and all the things. Tight jeans. One of the major reason is the very, very tight clothings. Practice in well-ventilated place. Consume a well-balanced sattvic diet. Diet doesn't include only the food. Diet doesn't include the water also. So very, very major reason for the unhealthy situation is getting dehydrated, especially those who are working in the air-conditioned atmosphere, air-conditioned scenario. They don't feel that they are thirsty, but their water level is getting depleted. So take sufficient quantity of the water daily, always. Take advice if you have any ailment. It's better to take advice from a doctor before starting on practice, or you consult any good yoga expert. Then don'ts. Do not do rigorous activities after asanas immediately. When suffering from fever, weakness, or illness, or immediately after the surgery, or during the pregnancy, very, very expert opinion is required. So that time you should be very careful. Do practice as per the guidance of the good yoga teacher. Do not practice yoga without supervision during pregnancy. Avoid practice in unclean, smoky place and in areas with foul smell. Do not jump to advanced asanas. Very, very important. Don't try to extract the benefits. Regular practice the benefits. Don't bother about the benefits. It's the byproduct. Benefits will happen automatically. So focus on the process. That, okay, I have to start somewhere. It's never too late in the yoga. Till you are breathing, you can do the yoga. Even if you can do on the yoga on the chair, on the bed, while lying down also, you can do some yoga or mudrasana, you can definitely do. So take the benefit of yoga in that way. Yoga practice for very, very important nowadays. COVID management. We recommend few rounds of the Surya Namaskara daily for the preventive purpose. It should not be done when you are suffering from the moderate to severe ailment. Mild ailment you can perform, but moderate to then take the advice of the doctor. And post management, then gradually start with the chair Surya Namaskara and then gradually move to the few rounds, then increase the number of the Surya Namaskara. Most important is the breathing practice see here breathing practice has been written as both preventive and curative. Regular practice of the breathing practice, your heart, your lungs is trained, all these intercostal muscle, respiratory muscles are trained to take the maximum oxygen. So it will keep your lungs healthy. All these crores of alveoli are there. So all alveoli are functional. It's not like that. You have the army of 1,000 and 800 army is not in the position to fight. Then what will happen? You will lose the battle. So keep this entire 1,000 armies in the ready mode. For that, regular practice of the breathing practice, keep your respiratory muscles healthy and keep the lungs lining healthy. Research has proved that Brahmari practice produces nitric oxide, which has been established to have both preventive and curative effects. It has been established that fear has effects on the immunity most of the time. Very, very important. Lot of time people are in the fear in this COVID era. What will happen? Will I get affected? So how I will cope? Even mortality rate is very, very low, but we think always that, am I that person? So fear, always in the constant fear. And you have seen back, fear and stress, very, very closely associated. Fear generates the cortisol and stimulating hormones, and then that affects the immunity in the reverse manner, opposite manner. So when we fear less, immunity increases. For that, you have to keep on training the mind, and you should have developed what happened. Regular practice give you the self-belief that no, I am strong enough. Virus is very, very small. It cannot harm me. One newspaper, just 72 years aged grandma was there in some part of the Karnataka. She had HRCT score of 25/25. That means 100% lungs affected. But she has the resolution and belief that no, how the virus can kill me? I will one day defeat the virus. So that is the situation in which her body responded in that manner and she recovered. So you have to come out of the fear. By regular practice, you will get the self-belief, and self-belief, more self-belief, less fear. Relaxation helps stimulating the already discussed parasympathetic nervous system, thus helping in calming the mind. It has both preventive and curative effect. So in most of the cases, what we do, we recommend only do the savasana, lot of samasana, lot of bhramari, lot of doing this very lying down on the bed and observe yourself and let the breath calm down. It has very tremendous effect. Lot of people are getting cured by simply doing especially psychosomatic problems. People are getting coming out of the problem due to the regular practice of this relaxation. COVID time, very important. Ayush Ministry also has said, Vail Nasya and Jal Neti helps in improving the health of the nasal passage. What happens? Vail Nasya means putting this anu oil or coconut oil or good quality tila oil or any oil in both the nostril. It creates the lining and it protects this entire nasal, that membrane is there. So it has very positive effect on the entire your nerve, your protective mechanism. So it's very useful. So daily, while going to the work and after coming back to the 2 times, at least 2-3 drops of oil, good quality oil you should put. It works as that protective PPE kit of this entire system. The entry point is, that for the COVID is the mouth, nose, nostrils, and the eyes. So if you are protecting most of the time, even if you are not opening the mouth, you are breathing continuously from the nose. So you are giving the protective PPE kit. So then the chances of infection will be lesser. And second thing, it has been found that especially in this coconut oil, medium chain fatty acids are there, and medium chain fatty acids acts directly on the body of the COVID virus and it destroys the virus also. So I am not saying that don't wear the mask, and we cannot say at all. Highly recommended, put the mask and all the health hygiene and hand hygiene and that social distancing, but you are getting additional armor with your hand, that Vail Nasya. Then Sasank Asana and Makarasana are suggested for breathing practices for COVID patients even. Lot of TV news, you must have heard about this prone breathing. So what is prone breathing? In our ancient system, already our rishis has given us Makarasana, Shashankasana. These both practice are similar to our nowadays proning practice. Continuous practice even before. Sorry. It's both had the preventive and the curative effect. One very interesting thing, in our all old houses, you will find place for the conch in our puja ghar. Conch blowing is one of the best exercise for the lungs. Daily blowing the conch for few seconds, few moments, very good for the lungs. Immediate improvement in the blood oxygen level, it has been observed. During the morning prayer and evening Sandhya, try to do good quality. Havans has been proved to be a good effect on the reducing the viral and bacterial load in the surrounding and help purifying the airs. Okay, thank you. So now we will move to the demonstration part. For learning purpose, right now I am showing very few asanas. So go to that. और जहाँ पर breathing exercises ये है ना करना. So we have mentioned at one place that you should start with the prayer. So you all know you do as per your religion. Yoga is not religious, it is spiritual. So you can do as per your belief and all the things. Even simply you can sit down, join your hands, press the palm. What happens? Pressing the palm, left palm, you are pressing left palm directly associated with the right part of the brain, right palm directly associated with the left palm of the brain. When we press, what happens? Both this mind, right hemisphere, left hemisphere. One is intellectual brain, one is emotional brain. So both are getting in the balanced state. Namaskar Mudra, and you can do it in the sitting position on the chair or on the mat according to your situation. Sit in your comfortable body position. I hope I am visible.
Yes, sir, you are visible, sir.
Okay. So sit down and do the prayer. First, calm down in your mind. So those who are wanting to join me in the prayer also, you can join me in the chair position or wherever you are, not an issue. It's not mandatory right now to sit in that position. And prayer you can do as per your learning, whatever prayer you know. So I am showing you how to just do it. Back straight, neck straight, eye closed. Forget all the tension, worries, desires, distractions. Just focus on the breathing. Let your breath be spontaneous and effortless. With each passing breath, you can feel you are becoming more and more relaxed, especially during the exhalation phase. Inhalation is the loading phase, exhalation is the unloading phase. During the exhalation phase, your body is relaxing. Then become aware about the nostril region and feel the flow of air inside the nostril. While inhaling, you can feel gentle, cool air is going inside. While exhaling, warm air is coming out. So it's the breath awareness. Alternate coolness and warmness you can feel. Then move your awareness to the stomach region. Synchronize your breathing with the abdominal movement. As you inhale, your stomach is bulging. As you exhale, the stomach is sinking. Effortless. Keep it. Try to make it effortless. 2-3 rounds for daily practice you can do according to your convenience. And then after that, slowly move your awareness between the eyebrows. Try to visualize any form of the either sun, moon, or Omkar, or any form as per your belief. And then chant your prayer as per your belief. I will not chant here mantras so that you should not feel anybody that it's not my mantra or your mantra. You can do as per your mantra. After the chanting of the mantra, take your hand backside, hold your right wrist with the left palm. Inhale, arch back. And exhale and bend forward. Try to touch the forehead to the ground. If you are sitting on the mat or while on the chair, just let your body go down and then express your gratitude to Mother Earth, Almighty, your parents, your Guru, and slowly while inhaling come up. Gently release the hand. What is the significance of this bowing down? What happens? When we bow down, body moves to the parasympathetic system. You will feel that immediately while bowing down, you are surrendering, developing the sense of the surrender. You are the part of the cosmic force, but in comparison to cosmic force, you are nothing, we are nothing. We are very, very, very tiny source. So we are surrendering to Almighty. We are surrendering to the nature. We are surrendering to our father, mother. We are surrendering to all our gurus. And when you surrender and offer your prayer, offer your namaskara, you will feel that your mind has calmed down. Ego comes down. And you know that ego is one of the biggest problems for all the causes of the disease and all the things. So tampering down of continuous daily practice, daily bowing down. That's why in our ancient system, the tradition of touching down and taking the blessings from the elders. When you bow down, what will happen? Body is in the parasympathetic mode. When you are arching back, body is in the sympathetic mode. So after that, slowly you can do practice on the sitting position also or a standing position. First, what we have mentioned earlier, we have answered earlier that first start with the prayer, then joint exercises. Any joint exercises you can do like this. All this starting from, you can adopt top down or bottom up. You can start from the fingers, then wrist, then elbows, one hand or both hands, then shoulders. There are so many practices for the shoulders. Then neck, very, very relaxed way. The speed should not be too much. Very synchronize the practice with the breathing speed and slow speed and observe the effect, which muscles are getting affected, how the degree of rotation is changing. So involve huge, you just have seen that huge joining together. So joining the movement with the awareness. So shoulder, neck, after that, do the waist exercises, forward, backward, or in a standing position. You can do the waist rotation, very gentle rotation. It's very, very important to what these are in modern science. It is called warm-up exercises. In yoga also, it has been mentioned. Joint exercises. After that, knee. Very little, very gentle practice. Then ankle. These are called Sukshma Vyayama. In yogic, we call it as a Sukshma Vyayama. But we have seen that, see, for taking advantage, it's not mandatory to do complicated asanas. Please avoid what we do just to satisfy our ego that, okay, how much I can do? No. More beneficial are these kind of small practices. What are the major, most important benefits? In lot of diseases, energy gets concentrated at certain points and blockage of energy channel. So when you are doing all these practices, you are distributing the energy to the entire system. So when the distribution, equal distribution of energy, that is the same that in your building, one room is getting less voltage, one is high voltage, both are in the problem. But proper wiring, proper MCB and all the things, you will feel that every room is getting equivalent current, then the system is working fine. Same way in our system. Energy distribution, all the chain energy, it opens all the energy channels and it prepares, most important, body for the next practice. After that, breathing practices. So breathing, most of the time in park and all the things, you will feel that people are doing like this. It's not like that. Breathing practice, you have to synchronize the movement with the breathing. You have to synchronize movement with the breathing. So whatever kind of that movement you are doing, inhale. While inhaling, we are expanding the hand, and exhaling, we are closing. So one round I will show. So in this way, I am making little exaggerated sound to just to understand yourself. You are not needed to exaggerate that much of sound. You are needed to breathe for slowly and longer period. What happens? Proper synchronization. You just check right now. You sit like this and you try to breathe. See, in India, our ancient culture is culture of realizing, not believing. So we are the seekers. Traditionally and from ancient time, we are the seekers. So just find out whether I am telling or not. It's irrelevant. Just you check yourself, and then slowly, whatever practice you do, observe it, that how it's affecting your body, your mind, your prana, your chitta, and your mind, your thinking, your emotion, how it's affecting daily. So just you simply sit like this and try to breathe. Take deep breath. One more time. Now on the chair itself, you take your hand and then breathe. You can find that when we are taking the support of the hand, expansion is happening, lungs is working as a pump, and your breathing is becoming more deeper, more longer, more slower. After that, even after reaching the point, don't rush back. Relax here itself. 1 or 2 counts, then exhale. So these are the breathing practices. There are so many breathing practices. This is the one. This is the, again, synchronization of the movement and the breathing. Inhale. Exhale. Then interlock the fingers. Raise your hands and heels together while inhaling. Become as tall as possible. And exhale. Inhale. Exhale. So now what has happened? Your entire channel gets opened. Your lungs is now functioning. Your lungs is now able to more accommodate the oxygen, and it's supplying more oxygen to the system. So now your body is ready for the next level. That is the, then asana. Before asana, you can start with the Surya Namaskara. One round I will demonstrate you. I should move sideways. Then you can do it with the prayer or without prayer. I will show you with the prayer. You can do it without the prayer also. So first, prepare yourself mentally by adopting Namaskar Mudra. It's better to turn towards the east while you are doing in the morning. Close your eyes. Visualize the rising sun in the east. Golden sun rays falling on your entire body. Then chant one time Omkara or any mantra or any belief. You can do Amin, you can do anything. And then inhale. This is the first step. Exhale. Second step. Don't rush. Let the body feel the effect, absorb the effect. Body should be able to receive the effect. This is Padhastasana is called. Then take the right leg back, third position, Asu Sanchalanasana. Then fourth, it is called Dandasana. Then fifth, Shashankasana. Then sixth, Ashtanga Namaskara. Ashtanga Namaskara. You can see 2 toes, 2 knees, 2 palms, 1 chest, and 1 forehead is touching the floor. Ashtanga Namaskara. It's not the Sastanga Namaskara. So you should not be like this. Ashtanga Namaskara. Then Sapta inhale. Urdhva Svanasana it is called. Then next, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Then again Shashankasana. Then again right leg forward, Asva Sanchalanasana. Again Padhastasana. Then come up. Uttan Asana or Ardha Chakrasana it is called. So this is the 12th round of the Surya Namaskara. It's already demonstrated in the picture also. We in S. Vyasa University practice 12 steps. Some places there are 10 steps Surya Namaskara. Some states 14 or 17 even. Sri they practice 17 steps. All are fine. Here we have adopted one Shashankasana, one additional pose in the 5th position and again in the 9th position. To give the extra rest, so I mentioned earlier, activation, relaxation, activation, relaxation. So that stage has been added to reduce the injury and load, stress load on the system. In each round, here 1 round more I will show, then I will move. So here synchronization of the breathing is important. So whenever your hand is moving away, inhale, here inhalation will happen. Exhale, here while exhaling we are going down. Then inhale, while inhaling take this leg back. Exhale, while exhaling we are coming to Dandasana. Then inhale, exhale and normal breathing we are coming to the Shashankasana. Then inhale and while exhaling go down and hold the breath, we are in the Ashtanga Namaskara. 7th, inhaling, Urdhva Mukha Svanasana. Exhaling, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Again, inhale, exhale and normal breathing. Shashankasana. I was talking about earlier, Shashankasana during the COVID practice. Even for the patient of this, what is called this breathlessness and all these problems, they will feel that whenever you will relax in this pose, your breath is becoming normal. Very, very relaxing pose. This is the Shashankasana. Nowadays, modern medical science is calling it as a proning. So this is the 9th step. Then again, while inhaling, inhale, right leg forward, Asva Sanchalan. Then both legs together, Padhastasana. and again inhale, then release. So you can do it as per your convenience. One round I will show you on the chair also. Those who cannot do on the standing position, they can do it on the chair also. Not modify your yoga as per you. Your body, your yoga. Everybody, every individual is unique. So it cannot happen that it fit all size. Everybody will fit. So you have to modify your yoga as per your body composition and your limitation. So here also 1, 2, 3, down, 4, down, 5, down, 6, down, 7, 8, down, 9, down, 10, come up. So here we will do 10 rounds. Because we are doing in the sitting position, no need for the additional relaxing phase. Then after Surya Namaskara, relax for a few moments. After coming out of the Surya Namaskara, whenever how many rounds is you are feeling comfortable, don't force yourself. Do up to your comfort level. Start with 1 round or start with a chair, then mix chair and normal. And then slowly build up, slowly build up, slowly build up. After that, when you finish, whenever after 2 rounds, 3 rounds, adopt Namaskara Mudra. Once again, express your gratitude to Sun God and feel that you are receiving the blessings from the Sun God. Then lie down, relax in the Savasana for a few moments. Then you can go to the Asana part. There are a lot of asanas. I will show you few, 2, 3 asanas. One each in the standing position, sitting position, prone position, and then supine position. So one asana is Trikonasana. So both the legs comfortably apart as per your comfort. Turn right foot 90 degree, left foot 45 degree. Lock both the knees. And then take this left hand up and then let your body bend sideways. Now here, don't we see that you have seen in the picture that people are just holding here. That's where the problem is there. You are moving, taking your body towards the asana. No, let the asana come towards your body. So wherever you are reaching, if you are reaching here, fine. 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 Wherever you are reaching. Then after a few days of practice, try to combining the awareness where the effects are coming, which parts is getting involved, what is the response of the muscle group, what is the response of the skeleton system, what is the response of the entire system as a whole, and what is the response of your breathing system. The moment starting with the very few number of holding, then slowly you can increase and you can go up to any asana for 2-3 minutes holding position. That is called Asana Siddhi. Asana Siddhi happens when you do up to 2-3 minutes. What happens? That it starts affecting that skin level, then muscular level, then it goes deeper, and then as the you increases the holding, it starts affecting the internal bone part also. So that's how that it happens. But don't rush. Again and again, I am requesting all of you. Then any asana, always if it is one-sided, then do other side also. Once again, Then you have to combine the breathing also. So what is happening? Raising the hand, inhalation, and here while exhaling, we are going down. Any asana, holding will be in the normal phase. Once we reach here, now we are holding the asana, it will be the normal breathing. Then slowly, slowly while inhaling, come up. So this is the asanas. Lot of asanas in the standing position. Any asanas you can do. Tarasana, you can do Vrikshasana. So lot of asanas. So you can choose as per your convenience. Then in the sitting pose, we have shown you Shashankasana. So Shashankasana, you can keep either the hand backside or you can keep the hand by the side and then slowly, slowly slide your palm and go down. Here, adjust the gap between the legs as per your stomach size. If you are not able to sit properly, you can do it on the chair also initially. Simply, very, very slowly. Chin forward, looking forward, keeping the back straight. Don't make it round. Go down. Go down. And then stay here after 2-3 rounds. Here again inhaling, going down, or here this you can feel the space is decreasing. So here the lungs area is compressing. So any asanas where the lungs area gets compressed, we do the exhalation. When arch back, it's stretching that. So coming up is the inhalation. So once again, please remember, coming up, sympathetic system, going down, parasympathetic system. So you are training the body to switch over immediately from the sympathetic to nervous, parasympathetic, sympathetic, parasympathetic. So now body, whenever the sympathetic situation is over, parasympathetic, bending forward, you are in the parasympathetic mode. So continuous training. Then next is this is the sitting position. Then comes the prone position. So lie down on the stomach. You can choose any asanas. One asana I will show, Bhujangasana. Bring the palm beside the ribcage. You can keep the elbow down or you can keep the elbow upright. Then while inhaling, lift the upper body. Inhale. Once again here, up to your comfort level. Don't see that how much perfection they are doing in the TV and on the this mobile and picture or in the book or the newspaper. No, do up to your comfortable. If you are going up to, you're comfortable up to this level only, start with this level only. Then daily practice, then you can come up. While exhaling, go down. So this is the prone position. Then last is the supine position. Lie down on the back. You can keep the hand here by the side or over the head. One asana I will show you. This is called Uttan Pad Asana. You can lift the both legs up. Normal breathing. Exhale. Excellent for the digestion, core muscles, all the endocrine muscles, all the reproductive glands, all these digestive glands, all these excretory glands, everything gets affected here. In the beginning also, one point we discussed, yoga doesn't work only on any particular system, it works on the entire system. So what is happening? You are lifting the leg, blood is now coming back towards the heart. So most of the time, blood is going downward and heart has to work for against the gravity for bringing back the blood. So a lot of time, lot of impure blood gets stuck there. So here that blood is coming into the main system so that it again gets recycled. Then slowly go down. You can do number of repetition as per your comfort. After doing this, slowly come up. Then after each round, each asanas, do proper resting. So whatever asanas we are doing, after that we are doing at least 5 to 10 counts of the relaxing whole body, lose the body, entire body, from the toe to the tip of toe to the top of the head, all muscles, all joint. Mentally guide, request your body to relax. Continuously training, then your body will, whenever you will request, immediately your body will respond in that manner. After that, we are going for the pranayama part. We have shown you Kapalabhati. So just 5 rounds, I will show you the Kapalabhati. Kapalabhati, most of the places you will feel that, see, I will show you wrong way. Like that they are doing. Very, very wrong way. You may get the brain stroke also. So here, upper body, no movement, face is smiling, back straight, neck straight. If you will keep your back loose, you will get the back pain. So if you are comfortable here, fine. Otherwise, you can take the support of the wall, or you can sit in the chair, dining chair, back straight. Then do the active exhalation. While exhalation, your stomach will go inside, and then inhalation, release the stomach. So I will do you 5 to 6 rounds for your better understanding. So after Kapalabhati, there are a lot of variation in the Kapalabhati also. Left nostril, right nostril, alternate nostril. But you can do starting with always start with the 10 counts. 5-6 days practice 10 counts, then increase 15 counts, then do 10 counts 2 rounds, then 10 counts 3 rounds, then 15 counts 2 rounds, like that. Slowly increase. You can go up to 100, that is safe. A speed as per your body condition. You can increase the intensity or decrease the intensity. You can increase the speed, decrease the speed. Kapalabhati is not a pranayam, it is the Suddhi Kriya. Wherever your breathing speed is increased in these practices, it is Kriya. So it is the cleansing method. So all the impurities of the entire system gets expelled through the breath. So after that, Nari Suddhi Pranayama, I will show you. Left hand chin mudra. See, mudra is very, very important part. When you will see the correlation between body part and that brain cortex, you will feel that maximum part of the brain is directly linked to the hands. So mudras, it stimulates the brain. So left hand chin mudra, right hand nasika mudra, then back straight, neck straight, eye closed, very, very relaxed manner. As slow, like the butter is moving, hot, but the knife is moving on the butter. So inhaling I am, then very relaxed pause, then exhale. So you can do few rounds. It's alternate. So we start usually with the first exhale slightly from the left, then inhale, pause, comfortable, then exhale. Then again, comfortable pause. Pause means I am not holding. It's that I am giving natural stoppage time. So again, inhale from the right, comfortable pause, then exhale from left. So This is very safe pranayama. Any number of rounds you can do, any time during the day you can do. Then is the Bhramari pranayama. So Bhramari pranayama, you can do with the mudra or without mudra. Here we close the ears by the thumb, or you can close it by the index finger. With the thumb, if you are closing, you can adopt the Sanmukhi mudra and then take deep inhale, not forceful, but very, very, by filling the lungs, not by the nostril, by the lungs, expanding the lungs, let the air inside, then release. While releasing, let the humming sound get produced. Then feel the vibration. Then do the next round. You can do any number of rounds. Bhramari, very, very nirapad. Even in the office hour, after 2-3 hours, you do 4-5 rounds of the Bhramari. You will very, very feel the very, very nice effect. After the pranayama, once again do 5 minutes relaxation. And then after relaxation, sit down comfortable in chair or on your mat, and then do the dhyana. You can start dhyana by observing the breath. Observe the incoming breath, observe the expel. Inhale, expel. Then lot of methods of the meditation. So you can move to the continuous practice. You will feel that mind is becoming more focused and calmer. After that, you once again do the namaskara and then do the wish for the betterment of the entire world, everybody, and then once again take your hand backside and then bow down. Offer your gratitude to Mother Earth, Almighty, your parents, your Guru. Slowly come up, release your hand, rub the palm, generate the heat, make a cup shape, place on the eyes, and let the prana spread to all parts of your body. So that's how we design the classes. You can also design in this way, but do up to your comfort level as per your body condition, as per your physical condition, mental condition. If you are mentally little bit disturbed, you can do more of the Bhramari, Savasana, and Nari Shuddhi Pranayama. So I hope that I have covered all the things. If you have any question, you can ask. Otherwise, I am handing over the mic once again. Thanks the management, entire management of the Sanjay Gandhi Institute for giving me the opportunity to be with the lovely all you people, and hope that I was able to explain you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Amrish sir, for that enlightening session. Thank you so much for reminding that yoga is not mere practice of asanas, but it is a way of living. I'm sure all of us have truly benefited from this informative session. Thank you once again.
Yoga is excellence in action. ಯೋಗ ಸರ್ವ ಕ್ರಿಯೆಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಶ್ರೇಷ್ಠವಾಗಿದೆ. ಇಂತಹ ಯೋಗದ ಮಹತ್ವವನ್ನು ಬಹಳ ಅರ್ಥಪೂರ್ಣವಾಗಿ ನಮ್ಮೆಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ತಿಳಿಸಿಕೊಟ್ಟು ಯೋಗ ಚಿತ್ತವೃತ್ತಿ ನಿರೋಧಕ ಹಾಗೂ ಸಂತೋಷಕ್ಕಿರುವ ಸರಳ ಸಾಧನ ಎಂಬುದನ್ನು ತಿಳಿಸಿಕೊಟ್ಟು ಯೋಗಾಸನಗಳ ಮಹತ್ವ ಹಾಗೂ ಪ್ರಯೋಜನ, ಸೂರ್ಯ ನಮಸ್ಕಾರದ ವಿಧಿ ವಿಧಾನ ಪ್ರಯೋಜನ ಹಾಗೂ ಸಮತೋಲನ ಆಹಾರದ ಪ್ರಯೋಜನ ಹಾಗೂ ಅದರ ರೀತಿ ರಿವಾಜುಗಳ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಉಸಿರಾಟದ ಮಹತ್ವ ಹಾಗೂ ವಿಧಿವಿಧಾನಗಳ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಬಹಳ ಅಚ್ಚುಕಟ್ಟಾಗಿ ಹಾಗೂ ಅರ್ಥಪೂರ್ಣವಾಗಿ ಅದ್ಭುತವಾಗಿ ನಮ್ಮೆಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ತಿಳಿಸಿಕೊಟ್ಟ ಶ್ರೀ ಅಮರೇಶ ಸರ್ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಹೃತ್ಪೂರ್ವಕ ಧನ್ಯವಾದಗಳು. ಈ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮದ ವಂದನಾರ್ಪಣೆಯನ್ನು ನಡೆಸಿಕೊಳ್ಳಲು ನಮ್ಮೆಲ್ಲರ ಅಚ್ಚುಮೆಚ್ಚಿನ ಪ್ರಾಧ್ಯಾಪಕರಾದ ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ಜ್ಯೋತ್ಸ್ನಾ ಶರ್ಮಾ ಮ್ಯಾಮ್ ಅವರನ್ನು ನಾನು ವಿನಂತಿಸಿಕೊಳ್ಳುತ್ತೇನೆ.
Thank you, Lata. We all the faculty members are so much overwhelmed by the presentation of sir that it was really so enriched, and it is so full that somewhere I feel that whatever the grace he has provided to the session and the dignity and the immense information sir has given. We are not expert in the field, sir. We are training the students and we take care of the technical and soft skills which are to be developed for the students, and you had been the right person. Yeah, so once again, pleasant greetings of the day. Today, on the occasion of the 7th International Yoga Day, we experienced an immensely intensive session on yoga, its theory, background, practice, and precautions followed. Actually, minute details of the yoga, of which we were not knowing earlier, we have experienced today, we have learned today. So our today's yoga guru, Mr. Amresh, seems to be an actual yoga seer, actual yoga guru practitioner whose life, the way of communication, his very approach, and the matchless conviction and commitment shows his enriched experience, his abundance and immense amount of training he had under for that many years. Sir, really, you had been very wonderful in today's session in providing us exactly what we required. And your approach makes us to believe that, yes, it is yoga which makes the people simple, humble, and grounded. So today, from the dais of Sanjay Gandhi College of Education, on behalf of our management, esteemed principal, my beloved teaching and non-teaching staff, on behalf of my dear students, sir, we really owe to you, and from the bottom of our heart, we thank you, sir. Thank you so much. At the same time, I really am very much thankful for ma'am that she had initiated this program. Without this program, I feel that somewhere our students really could have been left behind in knowing about the actual practice of yoga. Here, one more thing, the very specific thing that students are, now the trend of teaching and learning is being changed. Earlier, the students in BA program used to be different kind of. Now the students are of more scientific attitude and more logical approach they want. And with the help of presentation where you have brought the scientific way of doing yoga, scientific reason behind doing yoga, and you have brought actually strategy behind doing yoga. So I think surely the students are going to benefit a lot by that. And one more wonderful thing about this session was you had all the students and all of us to believe that yoga is a way of life. It is not something which is religious specific. So anyone, the person who is from any of the religion, practicing their own religious thoughts, they can perform and improve their psychical well-being. So thank you so much, sir. Thank you, ma'am. And dear students, thank all of you for making this event to happen. So thank you.
So thank you for giving me the opportunity, Lata madam, and everybody, all the management, and whatever kind words you said. I believe I am still a student. I am not a yoga guru. So just it's so vast. Our ancient rishis has given us such a tremendous treasure. We have to just make our children believe in that and let them practice. Just I said that we are the seekers, not the believers. So let them practice, start the practice, and let them feel the benefit of the yoga. Thank you.
ಮನಸ್ಸಿನ ಪ್ರಶಾಂತತೆಯ ಹಾಗೂ ಪಾವಿತ್ರ್ಯತೆಗಾಗಿ ಯೋಗವನ್ನು ನೀಡಿದವರು ಪತಂಜಲಿ ಮಹರ್ಷಿಗಳು. ದೈಹಿಕ, ಮಾನಸಿಕ ಹಾಗೂ ಆಧ್ಯಾತ್ಮಿಕತೆಯ ಸಮ್ಮಿಲನವೇ ಈ ಯೋಗ. ಪ್ರತಿದಿನ ಯೋಗವ ಮಾಡುತ್ತಿದ್ದರೆ ಯೋಗವ ಗಳಿಸಬಹುದು ಈ ಜಗ. ಕಾಯಿಲೆ, ಆಲಸ್ಯ, ರೋಗ, ರುಜಿನಗಳನ್ನು ಮಾಡಬಹುದು ತ್ಯಾಗ. ಸಂಪಾದಿಸಬಹುದು ನೆಮ್ಮದಿ, ಆರೋಗ್ಯ ಹಾಗೂ ಆಯಸ್ಸುಗಳೆಂಬ ಭೋಗ. ಸಂಪಾದಿಸಬಹುದು ಆರೋಗ್ಯ, ನೆಮ್ಮದಿ ಹಾಗೂ ಆಯಸ್ಸುಗಳೆಂಬ ಭೋಗ. ಪ್ರತಿದಿನ ಯೋಗವನ್ನು ಮಾಡುತ್ತಾ ಭೋಗಗಳನ್ನು ಪಡೆಯುತ್ತಾ ನಮ್ಮ ಜೀವನವನ್ನು ಸಾರ್ಥಕಗೊಳಿಸಿಕೊಳ್ಳುತ್ತೇವೆ ಎಂದು ಹೇಳುತ್ತಾ ಈ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮವನ್ನು ಇಲ್ಲಿಗೆ ಮುಕ್ತಾಯಗೊಳಿಸುತ್ತಿದ್ದೇವೆ. ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಧನ್ಯವಾದಗಳು.